So as of recently, Jamal Williams has been connected to the Cincinnati Bengals. Of course, this is in the fact if they move on from Joe Mixon and they decide that Joe Mixon costing $10 million is just simply not worth it. There's a lot of reports of them cutting or trading Joe Mixon this offseason, which would save them $10 million and be able to move on to someone like, for example, Jamal Williams. Now, my problem with Jamal Williams is he's coming off his best NFL career year. The guy had 17 rushing touchdowns on 1,000 yards. And to be honest, it's really hard to get behind a narrative that Cincinnati would go after Jamal Williams here. Now, he is 28 years old, and that's awesome, right? That's amazing. But I feel like them getting away from Joe Mixon is not because they're getting away from Joe Mixon because they believe Joe Mixon doesn't have it left in his tank anymore. I think why they're getting away from Joe Mixon is they're trying to save money to use for other positions. And also, P. Ryan has been an absolute monster for them. So obviously, yes, if we look at the stats, Joe Mixon coming off hit 814 yards and only 7 touchdowns. Obviously, that's a lot less than his year before that, where he went ahead and had 1,200 yards and 13 touchdowns. So a little bit of a, worse year than the year before that. And that is really why I think they're going away from Joe Mixon. It's not because they say, oh my God, we need to replace his production and he simply isn't hitting it anymore. It's really just, listen, we have P. Ryan. We think and believe he can be our next option up and can really take over for the team rather than paying Joe Mixon $10 million when, for example, we can't keep both of them. Let's just keep the cheaper of 2 options, develop more of Chris Evans, and then kind of go on from there. So again, like I said, it's one of those things where it's like, could they technically say, hey, listen, Jamal, we want Jamal because we want a, big, crazy running back? Yes. I don't think that's what they're going to want to do. There's a lot of good running backs in this draft class. My opinion, for them to go ahead and get rid of Joe Mixon. Let's say, for example, get rid of him at $10 million it costing them, and then go to Jamal Williams, who, let's be honest, after coming off of what he came off of last year, this guy's going to cost an arm and a leg. An absolute arm and a leg. He's going to cost a king's ransom. He's 28 years old, coming off, again, 17 touchdown season, 1,066 yards. He's going to probably cost in the ballpark range of 15 to 17 million a year. That is just simply not even smart for the Bengals to even entertain that concept / idea. I mean, if they bring in a guy at that price tag, now you're saying is you're not going at the right tackle, you're not going after a left tackle, you're not going after a possible bringing some free agents back. You're going to put all your money, invest all your money to the running back position. And I just think that would be, in my opinion, idiotic. Now, obviously, this is one man's opinion, but I will say to the favor of them signing him, he did go ahead and play 17 games last season, 13, 14, 14, 16, 16. So last year was his first full year since 2019, but I just don't like it. I talked about recently how I do like them going after Kareem Hunt and possibly signing Kareem Hunt. Just because Kareem Hunt can be that more of a pass-catching role. I know Chris Evans does kind of do the same concept, but, it would be a nice little 1-2 punch between, you have P. Ryan, you have Hunt, and then you also have Chris Evans. Kind of 1, 2, 3. Where I feel like if, again, like I said before, if you give this much money to one said player, for example, give all this money to Jamal Williams, you're going to have to use him like he is the number 1 running back. You're going to have to really focus the offense around him. And again, this is another thing that's really weird, but I'm just going to say this now. There are things called outlier seasons. There really are. Last season, nobody thought Detroit was going to be as good as they were. Let's be honest. Everyone thought Detroit was going to be absolutely dog water. They turn around mid-season, come back, absolutely do phenomenal. And, you see that in the fact that Jamal Williams got a lot of goal line carries. He got a crap ton of goal line carries. And DeAndre Swift was on and off again with injuries, so Jamal really got mainly a lot of the workload. And it worked out freaking amazing for him. Now, I don't think he's going to replicate that season. I'll be honest with you. I say wherever he does go, and I hope it's not Cincinnati for this said reason, I think he'll probably finish next season with 600-700 yards and maybe like 3 or 4 touchdowns. And he's going to get a big payday because that's just how the system works when it comes to running backs. I mean, you see he had 262 rushes, which is absolutely amazing. Don't get me wrong. That's really freaking good. He averaged 15 yards per game, but he only averaged 4.1 yards per rush, which is absolutely horrendous. So it's like, it's a dual-edged sword. It's like the idea that it says all the time on YouTube. It's like, no, it's not on YouTube, but they say this like when it comes to music, if you sell a million albums, but you put out a million albums, are you really that good? You know, I sold 1 million albums, but you put out 1 million albums. So how are you saying that you're that good or you have any kind of skill if you literally done the bare minimum, but you've done it so many times? So, again, if they could get him for a discount, maybe. Maybe, just maybe. But he's going to cost so much money. He really will. He's young. He has at least 2 or 3 years left, shelf life-wise, coming off a phenomenal season. I think he was in a good system, in a good spot, in a good place, and he made the most of it. And I'm going to give him complete props for that, and I think he'll go out there and possibly do wonders with money. But he just simply isn't there, man. He isn't that guy for Cincinnati. Whether that is, cutting Joe Mixon and going Kareem Hunt or going with a draft pick, I think Cincinnati is going to be fine without him and find someone else to fill his role. It is what it is. That's just one man's opinion. I'll see you guys next one. Peace out.